And welcome to Sunday Morning Matters Extra. Joining me this week is Trustee Terry Slatic. We've been talking a lot about the incidents that is surrounding you in Bullard High School at this point. You've heard people want to recall you. You've heard trustees come out publicly to say they want you to resign. We talked a lot about that on Sunday Morning Matters, but here extra on yourcentralvalley.com and all our social media platforms, there's some things that we should address that are coming up this next week, in which there's going to be Fresno Unified dropping another report saying the handling and the encounter that you have with other district employees. Can you elaborate what you think that is going to be about?
Well, there'll be a report coming out next week that I had a verbal exchange that was very negative with a coach. We were actually at Central High School, and this is a person that I have for many years had difficulty with in terms of prior to me being a trustee, because he joined the program ostensibly 3 years as a coach ago in order to be our fundraiser. And I know, because my wife is the president of the Wrestling Booster Club, that none of those monies have ever found their way into the treasury. Yet he keeps on saying, I'm your fundraiser, but the t-shirt sales, he's ended up keeping the money. And so obviously there's quite a bit of antipathy between this individual and myself. And
so the report is going to say what? How you mistreated the wrestling coach?
I would say the report is probably going to say that he and I had a shouting match.
A shouting match?
Yes.
And why do you think this report is being released?
Because somehow me being in the parking lot at Central High School, picking up my son from wrestling practice, somehow was within the scope of my trustee duties.
Okay, so your son goes to Central High School?
No, my son goes to Bullard.
Bullard High
But they
School.
happen to be having a wrestling practice at Central that day. And hence I'm picking him up, and I saw this coach, and we had words, as we have had on numerous occasions previously.
Was there a physical altercation
No.
at all? No. And to the point where, you know, Trustee Keisha Thomas came out on our cameras and our website earlier in the week saying that you wanted to run to be a trustee, to be a part of the school board because your son was being bullied at Bullard High School, and you wanted to change that perception, whether you were coming to his defense or whatnot, to have your own agenda. What do you say to that accusation?
And sadly, Trustee Thomas is utterly mistaken in her facts. What did happen with one of my sons at Bullard High School was a letter was found saying that I want to kill so-and-so, meaning my son. There was no physical thing whatsoever, but the aftermath of this was that I got to see how Fresno Unified handles these matters, and that's why I decided to run for office.
Well, when you think about it, obviously these are things that are troubling, where some people are saying that, you know, you're running on your own agenda. Do you feel like you are shaking things up too much here? Because there's a lot of people, the optics around this seems to be that Trustee Terry Slatic is in the face of everyone.
Let me answer that this way. I'm a retired Marine. I am doing this trustee job 50 hours a week, which makes it a lower than minimum wage job. There isn't anybody else who now is doing that or ever has been doing this 50 hours a week, going around asking the questions and finding the things. And some of the things that I found, for instance, would be, and the superintendent did not know, that we graduate 15% of our kids with lower than 2.0 GPAs. How is it that the superintendent and his senior staff doesn't know this, and a guy who shows up for trustee land 7 months ago, it starts finding all these very, very unsavory things about the performance of this district.
And the encounter you had with the Army recruiter at Bullard High School, where he says you belittled him, where you talked down to him, how much of that is, in your eyes, true, one, and then two, there was this thing where you talked to his boss, and then you threw down the phone, and your actions were what they say maybe immature or maybe outside of character and overstepping your boundaries?
The only response to that is, as I've stated on the record from the dais, is that the investigation process at Fresno Unified is weaponized. It's the same 6 investigators for 16 years, and it's never been put out for proposal. This is unheard of in government service, unheard of. And so in order to keep having that gravy train roll on, they come up with investigations that cater to their audience, the people who keep giving them business. It's a weaponized system. I've had this discussion with the superintendent, as has Trustee Mills, that once this starts getting out, all of these cases are going to have to be re-adjudicated.
All right, Trustee Slatic, appreciate it.
Thanks,
Sunday
sir.
Morning
Always good
Matters
seeing
Extra.
you.
You can catch us on yourcentralvalley.com.